Welcome to English Podcast for Listening and Speaking. This channel will help you improve your English skills. Now, let's get started.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something a lot of you have flagged, those IELTS listening multiple choice questions. They can be tricky, right?
Oh, absolutely. They're a common headache.
You've shared some great stuff with us, and basically our mission today is to arm you with some solid strategies.
Yeah.
The goal, tackle this section effectively, feel, more in control and not get totally swamped.
Exactly. We'll be looking at specific tips and, importantly, when to actually use them. We'll also cover the different kinds of multiple choice questions you'll likely see.
Okay. And we're also touching on how learning materials are often structured for this, giving some clear examples and, crucially, where you can find genuinely authentic practice tests. Let's remove any confusion about sources too.
Right. Let's start with the groundwork, those tips for preparing before the audio even starts. What's step one when you look at the questions themselves?
Good question. Where do we begin?
First off, just glance. Is there a title? It sounds simple, but it can give you a quick context clue. Then, straight away, figure out, are you answering a direct question or are you completing a sentence?
Okay, because that changes how you listen, right? A question needs a direct answer. Sentence completion needs that missing bit.
Precisely. It just helps frame your focus. So once you know the format, what's next with the question itself?
Yeah, what's the key thing?
Keywords. Finding the core words in the question is, well, fundamental. These tell you what information to listen for, but don't stop there.
Okay.
The next step, and this is really vital, is to actively think of paraphrases, synonyms, related phrases, The recording won't use the exact same words usually.
Right. So if the question is benefit, the audio might say advantage or what's good about it or something else entirely.
Exactly. You need to kind of build that mental thesaurus as you practice. That proactive paraphrasing gives your brain a massive head start.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. What about those questions with like a long list of options where you have to choose, say, 3 letters?
The list selections. Key tip here. Immediately underline or circle the number of answers required. So if it says choose 3 letters, circle that 3.
Seems obvious, but I can see how you'd forget in the moment.
Totally. When you're juggling, listening, and reading under pressure, that little visual reminder on the page is, well, it's an anchor. Definitely use that whenever you see a long list format asking for a specific number.
Got it. A simple visual cue. Okay, so that's preparing the questions. Format, keywords, paraphrasing, number for lists. Now, how about preparing the actual answer options before the audio starts?
Right. This is just as important. You need to actively read through all the options. Don't just skim. Try to really absorb what each one is saying.
And what are we specifically looking for as we read them? Any tricks?
Look for options that seem really similar. Flag them, mentally or physically. IELTS loves using options that are almost right, but differ in one crucial detail.
The near miss.
Exactly. By spotting the similarities and, crucially, the differences early on, you become a much more targeted listener. It helps cut down on that second-guessing later.
That's smart. Spotting the subtle distinctions. And keywords again, in the options this time.
Absolutely. Just like with the questions, think about paraphrases for the keywords in the options. Because, again, the speaker probably won't use the exact same phrasing. Having those alternatives ready helps you recognize the match when you hear it.
Okay, so scan for overlaps. Spot differences, think about synonyms for keywords in the options. Anything else vital when looking at those A, B, C choices?
Yes, and this is a big one. Be prepared for the fact that all the answer options might get mentioned in the audio, or at least the vocabulary from them.
Oh, okay. That sounds like a trap.
It is. It's designed to test if you're truly understanding or just picking out words you recognize. Only one option actually answers the question correctly, so you absolutely have to listen to the entire relevant part before you decide.
That's such crucial advice. Hearing a word doesn't mean it's the right answer. What about the order things are mentioned? Do the options follow the audio?
Usually not for the options themselves. The questions tend to follow the audio flow, yes. But the options A, B, C might be discussed out of order. You might hear something about option C, then A, then B.
Right. So don't just grab the first one you hear mentioned.
Definitely not. Keep listening to make sure it fully and accurately answers the question asked. Don't jump the gun.
Okay, so options might be out of sequence. Any other listening traps we need to be wary of?
Yeah, listen out for speakers correcting themselves. Words like, but, however, actually, oh wait, no. They often signal that what was just said isn't the final answer. It's a change of direction.
Those little words pack a punch. Okay, think practically. In the test room, pen in hand, any techniques for the paper itself.
Oh yeah, for paper-based tests, use that pencil. If you hear something that makes an option seem likely, put a little tick next to it. Tentatively.
Just a maybe.
Exactly, a potential candidate. But wait till you've heard the whole section. And conversely, if you're pretty sure an option is wrong, put a cross next to it. Eliminate it visually. It helps you narrow things down as you listen.
That sounds like a good way to stay actively engaged. And the big reminder, you only hear it once.
Only once. No repeats. That's why building your speed reading skills is so important. You need to be able to quickly scan those questions and options, identify keywords before the audio track starts. It's a skill you build through practice, definitely.
Okay, quick recap on those tactics then. Check format, find and paraphrase keywords and questions, note the number needed for lists, read all options, spot similarities and differences, paraphrase option keywords, remember all might be mentioned, watch for audio ordering corrections, use ticks crosses on paper, and practice speed reading. When do we actually use all this?
These are your go-to strategies for pretty much any multiple choice question in IELTS listening. You apply them right from the start, the moment you get time to look at the questions. The emphasis might shift slightly depending on the question type, but the core ideas hold true.
Perfect. That leads us nicely into the different types of multiple choice questions. Our listeners' materials mentioned 4 main kinds.
That's right. The first one is probably the most straightforward, answering a question. The question paper literally asks a question, and you pick the best answer from A, B, C.
Like the Dashford Study Center example we saw.
Exactly. A question like, membership at the study center is £20, and then the options give conditions like per month, per year for students.
Okay, direct question, type 2.
Type 2 is completing a sentence. You get an unfinished sentence stem, and the options A, B, C provide possible ways to finish it based on the audio.
Also in that Dashford example.
Yep. Something like members are able to take out, and the options might be 3 books, 4 DVDs, magazines only. You listen for what fills that gap correctly.
Makes sense. Answering a question, completing a sentence. What are the other 2?
Third is selecting from a long list. This is where you get a question, then maybe options A through G, and it explicitly says choose 3 or choose 2.
Like the healthcare conference one we looked at.
Precisely. Who will be lecturing? Choose 3 from AG. You have to sift through the audio to find the specific people doing that one activity lecturing.
Got it. Long list selection. And the last one is a bit less common.
Yeah. The fourth type is choosing a picture. You hear a description, and you have to pick the picture A, B, or C that matches what was described. It pops up, but maybe not as often as the others.
And the mammoths example fits this.
That's the one. Which type of mammoth? You'd get 3 pictures, hear a description focusing on, say, tusk shape or size, and then choose the image that fits.
Okay, so the 4 formats. Answering a question, completing a sentence, long list selection, and choosing a picture. Knowing these helps tailor the approach. Now, the listener also asked about the learning structure in IELTS prep materials. What's the typical pattern?
Looking at how good materials are usually set up, you tend to see a clear structure. It almost always starts with laying out the foundational tips and strategies, a lot like what we've just discussed, The general rules of engagement.
Right, the core advice first. What comes after that?
Then it typically moves into targeted practice. Specific exercises designed for each of those question types we just mentioned. So you'd practice sentence completion, then maybe list selection, and so on.
So you apply the general tips to the specific formats.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Is there usually a focus on what happens after you do the listening practice?
A really crucial part, yes. Good materials emphasize reviewing the transcript alongside listening again. It's not just about checking answers, it's about analysis.
Analysis. How so?
Looking at the language used, finding the exact keywords or paraphrases that pointed to the answer, thinking about why the wrong answers were wrong, which distractors nearly caught you out. It's about understanding the how and why.
So it's much more active than just marking yourself right or wrong.
Absolutely. Like in that healthcare conference example, the explanations often clarify why someone wasn't lecturing. Understanding the reasoning behind both correct and incorrect answers is key for real improvement. You internalize the techniques that way.
Knowing the why, not just the what. Okay, let's dig into some of those examples now to see this all in action. Back to the healthcare conference, the long list selection.
Right. Question. Who will be lecturing? Choose 3 from AG. The absolute key, as the explanations point out, is listening only for people lecturing, not debating, not showing videos.
Because the audio mentions lots of people doing different things.
Exactly. So the audio might say, Dr. Roger Dean will be presenting his speech. Okay, presenting speech sounds like lecturing. Tick for Dean, E. Then Dr. Benson is overseeing the debate. Nope, not lecturing. Dr. Mandalay will show her video. Nope. But then Dr. Christopher Lord will addressing everyone at a conference. Sounds like lecturing. Tick for Lord.
And the third one.
Maybe it says, Dr. David Bishop will take the floor to share his research. Taking the floor, sharing research, that's lecturing. Tick for Bishop, E. The audio might mention others, like Dr. Ripley speaking tomorrow, or Dr. Morris doing feedback, so they're out. It really shows you have to lock onto that keyword, lecturing.
That's a super clear walkthrough. Okay, let's shift to the mammoth's picture example.
Right. Which type of mammoth? Choose picture A, B, or C. We don't have the pictures, but the audio would give descriptions. It might talk about different ancestors, then say something like, but today we focus on the one most people think of, the classic shape, known for its huge, curving tusks and colossal size.
So you listen for those key descriptive words.
Precisely. Classic shape, huge curving tusks, colossal size. You build a mental image and match it to picture A, B, or C. Whichever picture shows those features best is your answer. It tests your ability to translate words into a visual.
Makes sense even without seeing the pics.
Okay.
Now, those common IELTS MC questions from Dashford Study Center. Question 1 on fees.
Okay. Membership is £20. Options give conditions. The audio likely says it's free for over 65s and for students with ID. For everyone else, it's £20 a year. So the answer is the option matching everyone except seniors and students.
And the potential trap there.
Hearing everyone else and just picking an option that says everyone without catching the exceptions mentioned right before it, you got to listen to the whole statement.
Always listen for the buts and accepts. Okay, question 2. Borrowing books.
Members are able to take out. The audio might say, you can borrow up to 3 books at a time for 4 days. The answer directly paraphrases this likely option B, a maximum of 3 books.
Straightforward paraphrase. Question 3. Booking.
Booking is unnecessary for audio. You need to book for yoga, dance, and exercise. However, the walking group has unlimited places, no need to book. So the answer is the walking group. Option C, perhaps. Unlimited places means booking is unnecessary.
And the trick they highlighted.
Yeah, the word booking is used with yoga, dance, exercise, the wrong answers. They use the keyword but link it to the options you shouldn't choose if you're not listening carefully to the meaning.
Sneaky. Okay, last one. Question 4. Arts and crafts teachers.
Arts and crafts classes are taught by. Audio says something like, classes are run by a qualified teacher with volunteer support. The core teaching is done by the teacher. Option B, maybe teachers, even if volunteers help out.
These examples really show how those initial tips, paraphrasing, listening for exceptions, watching for distractors, actually work in practice across different question types. So the big practical question, where does our listener find authentic practice tests?
Right, this is critical. For the most reliable practice, the absolute best source is the official IELTS Cambridge test books. Series 1, 2, 3, right up to the latest one. These contain real past papers.
Published by IELTS themselves.
Exactly. They're the gold standard. You can usually find them on Amazon, bigger bookstores, educational suppliers, maybe university bookshops.
And the advice is to use these alongside other skill-building materials.
Yes, definitely. Use materials that teach you the techniques that we've discussed, and then use the Cambridge books to practice applying those techniques under timed, realistic test conditions. They work hand in hand.
Are there any good free official resources too?
Yes, the official IELTS websites run by the British Council, IDP, Cambridge, usually offer at least one free full practice test. That's another great, reliable starting point.
Good to know. Any warnings about finding stuff online?
Oh, definitely. Be really careful with random websites claiming to have real or leaked IELTS tests. Often they are inaccurate, the difficulty is wrong, the format might be off.
Could do more harm than good.
Potentially, yes. Stick to the official Cambridge books and the official IELTS partner websites. That way you know you're practicing with the real deal.
That's really solid advice. Okay, so authentic practice, Cambridge books, and official IELTS websites. Let's quickly wrap up the main strategies we've covered for these multiple choice questions.
Sure. So number 1, prepare questions and options beforehand. Keywords, paraphrasing. 2, listen actively for the specific answer. Watch out for distractors and corrections. 3, know the 4 main question types. 4, practice with authentic materials like those Cambridge books.
And don't forget that vital step of reviewing the transcripts afterwards Analyzing the language, the key words, seeing why you got things right or wrong. That reflection is key.
Absolutely. Understanding the why is where the real learning happens.
So, a final thought for you listening. Think about which of these strategies really clicked with you. How can you weave them into your study routine starting now? And seriously consider getting hold of those official Cambridge IELTS books for proper practice. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.